Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, where I strategize with business owners on how to grow and scale their businesses to hit their income goals. This is episode 316 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. All right, you guys, we are continuing our series that we have been working on, where we are working through really truly thinking of ourselves as influencer entrepreneurs, working our blog as a business so that we can provide the life that we want for not only for ourselves, but also for our families. So if you haven't already, I want you to make sure that you grab the workbook where you can go. It's jennymelrose.com/influencer entrepreneurs. We are going to continue on to the next page within that workbook. Last week, we did Who You Are. We started really talking about that 4-part framework, and we're working through positioning right now. So if you're not familiar with that 4-part framework, is going to give you the 4 steps that you need to building your audience, growing your business, and making money online. You will also see that when you go to that page to grab the workbook, my book is there. The book goes deeper into what we can do during a podcast episode. So if you haven't grabbed the book yet, make sure that you do so that you can go even deeper with the questions that we are answering each week. And if you haven't listened to the previous episodes in this series, make sure that you go back to episode 314 and 312. It is going to just help you continue to build on it. Now, if you have filled out the workbook in the past when you first got my book, first of all, I appreciate you. Second of all, work back through it. I'm telling you, there are new things that you have experienced because the book came out in 2020 and it came out right as COVID was about to kick off. So there have been a lot of things that have happened to you since that time that has probably impacted who you are and the way that you deal with things. So I want you to make sure that you work back through this. We're just going to keep going deeper. So far, we've talked about positioning as part of that 4-part framework. And last week, we talked about what makes you unique. Who are you? So now we are going to talk about making that connection. You heard me tell my story in the first place very first part of this on episode 312, where I talked about my past experience of doing door-to-door sales and how I quickly realized that it wasn't about being a salesperson. It was about influencing and making a connection. And the way in which you make that connection is you have to know what the events were that formed you, what made you into the person that you are today. So if you were to look back, and these don't all have to be tragic, they can be little things that just made you who you are, whether it was when you were in early childhood, elementary age, going into high school, college, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, wherever you are in your journey. I want you to be able to look back, because as we are trying to make connections with people, our stories make a difference. One of the things that was happening to me during the writing of this book, I had shared that my dad had to go in to have a quadruple bypass, and it was very sudden and wasn't expected. He had just been playing full court basketball at the age of, I don't even know how old he was at that point, 61, 62, maybe 61 actually, probably more like when I was writing this book. But that after that, we also found out that there was more to what was going on with him. And when I shared this inside my membership site recently, I had someone reach out to me that said, you know what, thank you so much for sharing this, because I didn't realize we actually had that connection. We actually have that understanding and how hard it is when you find a family member that is dealing with this illness. So, and I'm not going fully into it because I want to kind of protect them with what I'm saying here. I don't want to trigger them. So I want you to really start to look back at your life. All of these events, like I said before, do not have to be tragic. They can just be what they made you events that made you into the person that you are today. So I want you to go to that second page in the workbook and start to tell me your story. You're going to set a timer again for 10 minutes. And while the timer is ticking down, I want you to write continuously. It just should be a continuous flow of you getting out on the paper all the things that happened to you that made you who you are today. I want you to start with your childhood, like I said, and go all the way through your teenage years into adulthood and where you are now. It's supposed to be a stream of consciousness. You don't need to go into details of the story. Just put a name to the event. So in other words, if when I was in high school, I had a bad breakup, let's just say, that could just be what I write, bad breakup, and leave it at that. Now, I'm not saying I had a bad breakup in high school, so no one go and say, ooh, Jenny said, no. I'm giving you an example. You don't have to go into great detail of what it was. You can just simply say bad breakup and move on from there. If one of the things that was really important to you was graduating from college graduation day, maybe it was meeting your partner that you now share. Whatever that event might have been, I want you just to quickly write it down and keep going to the things that have impacted you and made you who you are today. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I want all of that to go into this. The events that have actually occurred in your life have made your path twisted. I want you to think of it that way. No one's path is, first of all, the same. We talk about this all the time when we have the terrible habit of comparing ourselves to others. You never know how their journey, what path they have been on. Your path is your path. And most likely, like everyone else, your path is twisted. There are little nooks and crannies. There are little things that have caused you to slow down, maybe to feel like you've walked in circles for a while. Maybe it's just a circular motion. Whatever that might be, it is your path. So I want you really to be thinking about that. It's a multitude of events that led to the twists and turns of that path that have made us into who we are at this moment. Be grateful for that path, because without those events, you wouldn't be who you are today. Be grateful for all that you have done and all that you are. Think of all the lives that you have impacted and will impact in the future. We often get bogged down with minuscule day-to-day of our lives. We forget to take time to be grateful. This lack of gratitude can affect the type of people that we attract and will be attracted to. In order for us to truly connect with others, we need to be grateful for who we are. And each of these pits and falls and twists within our path has made us into who we are, and we need to be grateful for those. So as you're going through and writing these down, I don't want you to feel like you're taking steps backwards to talk about this. Always think that maybe failure has made me stronger, has made me continue to move forward and see myself as knowing how to get past that. Our lives are not meant to be perfect. Those bumps and trials and tribulations that we have gone through make us who we are today. So walk through it and look at it, because I'm telling you, there are others that have probably gone through similar circumstances. There are others, a lot of you listening automatically connect with me because I'm a former teacher. Because I taught in the inner city, there's even a different layer of people that connect with me. Now, because I'm a reading specialist, there's even more of you that connect with me deeper because of that connection. We are trying to figure out all the little connections that have made us who we are, because those connections very likely will be found within someone else. So go through, make sure that you have the workbook. If you haven't already, you're not late by coming into the series when you're coming in. Just go back. You can listen to episodes 314 and 312 so that you feel like you're all caught up, and then just go through the workbook. You're also going to know that if you have the book walks you through these exercises. And I'm giving deeper lessons on how you can really start to think about your positioning, making you unique, and your connections so far that we have talked about for positioning. We're going to continue to talk about the framework as we move forward. If you have already grabbed the book and have read it, please, I'd so appreciate it if you left a rating and review on Amazon, because again, it'll help it get suggested to others that are looking for a similar type of book on influencers or entrepreneurs. And as always, I appreciate you all so much and cannot wait to get back to this next week. All right, you guys, until then, I'll see you all.